Hey folks, Dr. Mike here from Renaissance Periodization, and I'm here with 5 rules of failure training. Not training to be a failure, which if I had to write a book on or make a video about, boy do I know a lot about that. Thanks for nothing, Dad. But training to muscular failure in the gym. And here are the rules. There are 5 of them. Certainly there are way more somewhere. But if you're curious about more in-depth intellectual content, our members section has really nerdy videos in it. And our Teen Full ROM subscription, which is like $30 a month, has you can ask me any question you want and I answer it via video service, sort of guaranteed. And there's tons of other members in the forum and they're all super smart. Most of them are smarter than me. It's kind of unfortunate. And I call the smart ones. If you want that stuff, give the links in the description and go and sign up. But here we go. Anyway, the video, that's as long as the ads here will ever get. Maybe a little longer. Rule 1 is that failure training is generally not for beginners. Ugh, but I wanted to go to failure, Mom. Hold on, son, let me explain. Beginners tend to break down in their technique as they get closer to failure. That exposes them to a higher likelihood of injury. Not a big concern because they're too weak to really hurt themselves. It does teach them the technique wrong, and then you have to unlearn the bad technique later. Evidence, typical gym bro bench press technique. You're like, dude, you suck. What the hell are you doing? And they're like, well, yeah, it's my 3rd day here, and here's what my bench looks like. And then later it's their 3rd year and the bench looks the same because they never learned the technique properly because they're always just grinding to failure all the time. So don't do that. And the good news is you're not missing out on any gains because beginners grow so quickly and get strong so quickly they don't even need to get remotely close to failure. 3 reps away from failure or 4 reps away is as close as they ever need to get for their optimum results with no technique trade-offs. So that's really good. Rule number 2 is you do not generally do pretty much any failure training in strength training. For hypertrophy, for muscle size, yes, occasionally once a month or so going to failure is probably pretty good and has its uses. In strength training, almost nobody goes to failure because you're literally planning to miss a lift. And in strength training, weights are so heavy and a little bit more dangerous. Failing with a lift is a bad news for either you or your spotters or some combination of you drop the bar on yourself and your spotters. 3 people die. It's terrible. It's on the news. You don't want to be in the news for something like that. You want to be in the news for some Florida man shit. Like, man bites alligator. Alligator sues. Supreme Court hearing tomorrow. Rule number 3. As you go closer to failure, your number one goal should be preserving your excellent technique. You're doing the curl with the biceps, not the whole body. Priority 1, mixing it up. This is rule 3. Priority 1, best technique as you get close to failure. Priority number 2, go as hard as you can. Notice, priority 1 is good technique. Never, ever push harder than your technique allows. And if with the perfect technique, the weight's not going up anymore, well, that's it. You hit failure. And if you could schmig it a little bit, could you get another rep? Yes. And other people in the gym may count it as a rep. But remember, God looks down on all of your reps. And if you do a rep like that, he'll actually look down on it. She like appears out of nowhere. You're like, oh, God. You drop your feet. He's like, yay, hear me. The fuck was that? And you're like, it was a curl. He's like, zap, motherfucker, lightning, bitch, all the way down to hell, motherfucker. And in hell, Satan's like, hey, my rep hack squats. And you're like, no. In any case, technique is first and then push. Big, big rule. Rule number 4 is account for the fatigue. Training to failure beats you up way more physically and mentally. So if you want a program designed in which you go to failure often, because it's fun, oh, I agree, then make sure instead of doing like 6 sets of squats per workout, like you normally would if you were a couple reps shy of failure, drop it down to like 4 squat sets per workout. It makes sure you don't get way too overreached, too much fatigue too soon, and then you can survive to lift another week, another week, and another week, and that's how progress occurs. No one week ever makes or breaks your shit. 4 or 6 weeks at a time, that is where gains come from. Lastly, rule number 5. Make sure you're still counting stuff so that progress occurs. And if it doesn't, you deload, take an easy week of rest, come back and ease back into the training. A lot of people who go all the way to failure all the time, they just don't even count reps anymore. I've seen this a whole bunch, which is cool. It's like a great, very effective set. But then how do you know next week if you've gotten weaker or stronger? You go to your dark place, you go to failure. You still don't count reps. Sometimes people don't even care about the load. They'll do drop sets where they'll just put the pin in, I don't know, is that a 50 or 40? There's smudge on there, who knows? How do you tell weeks later, months later, if you've gotten bigger and stronger? Because if you have some element of your program that's off, your diet is off, your supplementation is off, you're sleeping poorly, go to failure all the time, you may not even be able to tell, am I progressing? Because you never count reps. You know how much weight you're lifting, but it could be like you're putting more weight on all the time, but your reps are declining subtly and you can't even tell. You might have been maintaining for 6 months and you just didn't even know it. So even if you go to failure, just put your fucking camera up there, iPhone, press record, count back the reps later, at least count one top set for all of your sessions for the whole week or the whole month. And then you can be like, oh, wow, I actually am gaining more reps over time. And if you're not, take a deload, wash out, repeat. And if you really aren't gaining any more, stop training for failure all the damn time. Train like a smarter person. Start at 3 reps in reserve or so at the beginning of your mesocycle, all the way and take 1 week to do all the failure training you want right before you deload. In any case, folks, like, comment, subscribe. We got a member section, Team Full ROM, and no matter what anyone tells you, you have a certain beauty to you. That's right, you, that nobody could ever take away. And don't you ever forget that. And we'll see you next time.